All right, good morning, not good morning. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to our monthly Zoom call. Welcome to the coaching call where we bring on some wonderful professionals to teach us more about how to lose this weight, how to eat healthy, how to live a healthier lifestyle. Before we begin officially, I'd like anyone who has some wins this week to just unmute your mic so that you can share some wins with us so that we can be encouraged, we can be inspired, and maybe your win can inspire us to move on and to be better next week. So, is there anyone on the call that has some wins they'd like to share with us?
Yes, Alicia here.
Yes, ma'am.
So this week I lost 3 pounds and I'm really excited about that because I wasn't expecting to see progress so fast. So
Hmm.
I'm excited about those 3 pounds.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, ma'am. That's a big move. They say the average weight loss is about a pound a week, and so you're doing really, really well. Anyone
Yes,
else? Anyone
Eric.
else has a win for today or for this week?
I do. This is Patricia. Should I say that?
Luke's mom.
Hey, how are you? Well, since when did I start? On Monday, right?
Monday, yeah, Monday.
Sunday. Well, I've lost 4 pounds in this week so
Yeah,
far.
Grandma.
Yep.
Nice,
That's awesome. Yeah,
nice.
mom is
Um,
a trooper, man. Mom wakes up at 4 o'clock every morning. She walks 4 miles, and she's doing the intermittent fasting protocol. So she eats lunch, dinner, and a snack. And so yeah, she's killing it. I want that.
Mm,
nice, nice, nice.
Uh,
um,
anyone else? Somebody has a win for this week? Something that it doesn't have to be weight
yeah,
related. Just a win that you want to share
yeah.
with
Yeah,
us.
this Eric.
Can I
I have a
share?
win
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go
this
ahead,
week.
Eric.
I lost 3 pounds also this week. I was doing the intermittent fasting and keeping my calories under what I needed it to be, and it's really been paying off.
Yes, sir. I see both of you, man. It's almost like a race for you, both of you. You're right there. Whoever wins gets a prize. That's what I'm gonna
Nice.
do. Anyone else? One more person. A win for this week. Or I'll do two more people. Two more people. A win for this week that you'd like to share to inspire us with.
Can I share?
Yes, ma'am.
So yeah, so three seems to be that magic number right there. I have lost 3 pounds this week, and it's a really big win for me because I did hit a plateau. So I was kind of stagnant for a couple of weeks. Um, so the win is that I did lose three, and the win is that I did realize that accountability is super important. And just sticking with it and just kind of be and refocusing is really important. That was the big win for me. Um, because I think I was able to do that because I did say like, look, man, just treat me like a regular client. All right, I'm gonna start sending my weight every single morning. Because we would check and ask, but I wasn't really doing that because we lived together. But yeah, I was like, yeah, accountability and just refocusing. I think that's something that I really learned this week. And the result was, I'm starting to go down again. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's funny how accountability, man, it really does kind of propel you to success. And so, yeah, when you reached out and you said, "Can you just treat me like you treat your other clients?" I was like, "Of course, no problem, no problem." So I'm glad that it's working out for you. Anybody else? Just one more.
that's that's what I said to my son. I said, don't treat me like I'm your mom. Treat me like a regular client. So I have to be sending him my weight every morning. Don't usually want your son to know how much you weigh, but I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does help because you're like, oh man, I got to send this weight in. And even when we transition to doing once a week, even then you're still thinking, I got to send this weight in. Someone is going to see if I've been sticking to what I said I was going to stick to. And that's a motivator more than just yourself. With yourself, you can justify it all the time. But if you're sending it to somebody else, it's a little harder to justify. One more person. Anybody else has something they want to share that they would like us to be inspired by? I know Michael McCants is on the line. We celebrated his 20-pound weight loss a few days ago. He lost 20
Woohoo.
pounds. Shane is on the line. Anything you guys want to say before we hand it off to our guest? They probably.
Yeah,
Just
sorry
glad to
about
be
that.
here, man.
Oh, go ahead, Pastor Michael. Go ahead first.
No, I was just saying glad to be here, and I'm enjoying the journey.
Awesome. Yes, sir. How about you, Shane?
Same here, same here. Glad to be here. Just looking forward to continual results. Very inspired by others sharing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, usually the way that this whole thing works is that I'd usually talk for about 10 minutes and then give us some time for questions, and then I'd bring the guest on. But today, man, I think our guest is going to be an amazing person, amazing information that we can hear from today. So I'm just going to give all my time over to him. His name is David Schmidt, and I'll allow him to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about him and give him the floor. Go ahead, my brother.
Thanks, Luke. Good afternoon, everybody, or good evening. I appreciate you allowing me to come on this platform and give you a little bit of my knowledge and my time here. Let's see here. So I know Luke through the City Church at San Marco, and we talked a little bit about healthy lifestyle, health coaching. So he asked me to come on it, but he gave me the freedom to talk about whatever I wanted to talk about today. So I'm going to share some slides here in a second, but kind of what I wanted to talk about was some things that you might not hear every day. Some things that you might only hear from a health professional like myself, or a doctor or somebody like that. I know you didn't hear to come my story, but just a little backtrack on me. I went to UNF for my bachelor's degree in exercise science, and I graduated in 2014 and did some health coaching, just like Luke does, for a few years, and then decided to go back to school to get my master's degree in public health because of all the things that I was seeing in the healthcare world that I wanted to make a bigger impact on. And I'm currently working at a public health agency here in Jacksonville that oversees 8 counties here in Northeast Florida. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here and we'll get started. Somebody could just give me a thumbs up or let me know if you can see that. Okay, awesome. Okay. All right. So, some of the objectives I have for today, just what I wanted to talk about was first, kind of mindset and motivation. And the next thing is social determinants of health. And don't worry about that. Don't let it scare you. We're going to talk about it and let it, simplify it down. But my goal really for today is to help you understand healthy living with a different perspective, kind of a larger perspective, outside of just the things that you do on a daily basis, that, things that influence your health outside of that. And obviously Luke will, jump in and help you guys with addressing those influences, and be available to talk with you about those after today. All right, so I have a little bit of a fun icebreaker for us. Feel free to come off mute or, drop it in the chat here. Most of you have probably heard this question. It's been used as really terrible, pickup line, but I think of it more of as a corny dad joke. But how much does a polar bear weigh? Does anybody know the answer?
Anybody?
400 pounds.
This is the line I used to pick Crystal up.
So do you know the answer?
I do.
Okay. What is it?
It's enough to break the ice.
There it is. It's a really corny icebreaker, but just to get us started there. But how much does a polar bear weigh enough to break the ice? But what if we were to ask that same question to the polar bear? So this is where I'm going to get you to start thinking a little bit different. So if we ask the polar bear how much how much they weigh, and we've said, oh, it's enough to break the ice, well, they might say, well, hold on a minute, because every polar bear weighs a little different. Each polar bear is different. Every patch of ice that we step on has different thicknesses, and the temperatures are changing, especially with climate change and global warming. So ice breaks easier, and not all ice that we step on breaks. And I bring that up just to show the, like, sometimes we get so focused on one aspect of healthy living, or diet or exercise, or anything in our life, and there's so much more that could be going on that we might not always see. All right. So first we're going to jump in with motivation, and the obvious thing that you always have to ask yourself pretty much on a daily basis, right, is, why am I doing this? Why am I trying to eat healthy? Why am I trying to exercise? Why am I trying to lose weight? And you have to be able to determine what your motivation is, to what's going to help you keep going. And I know you guys were talking about accountability earlier. I love that. That's great, and that's something that can, it's important to have that support there. But just to kind of give you some different terms with motivation, there's intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, which is basically internal or external motivation. And understanding your motivation, like what it is, can help you set better goals and have more success, and help you keep going. So intrinsic or internal motivators will be stronger than extrinsic or external motivators. And I'll give you a couple of examples here, and you might be able to see why. So intrinsic motivation sounds like, I want to exercise more so that I can keep up with my grandkids, or my kids. Whereas extrinsic motivation sounds like, I need to exercise because my doctor told me to, or because Luke's going to text me about it, something like that. So you can kind of see the difference there. Like it kind of, it's who the responsibility is on, but also what's the factor that's driving you to keep, making those health decisions of eating better, of losing weight. Is it something that is going to sustain you, which is more of an intrinsic motivation? Like I want to exercise more so that I can keep up with my kids better. That's something that is going to be more sustainable for you as motivation over time, versus, like, because my doctor told me, I've got A, B, and C health conditions that I'm on the verge of, and I might need to make some changes in my life. Like, that might work for you for a little bit, but there needs to be a deeper, more powerful motivation there. So just to kind of, step to take for that is, take some time, to think about it yourself, and also make sure you're talking about it with Luke, about what is motivating you to make your healthy lifestyle changes. It'll help to write it down. Some people I've talked with in the past, they'll put it on a sticky note and put it on their fridge, or on their mirror, or whatever works for you, to be able to remind yourself of that motivation. I encourage you to do that, and it helps you kind of know your why. Why am I doing this on a daily basis? All right, and then similar to that, kind of the mindset, perspective, and approach towards healthy lifestyle living. And I apologize, I didn't say this earlier. I'm going to try to get through this, in a decent amount of time, so that we'll have some time for question and answer, a little bit of discussion afterwards. But one thing that I heard in some of my training was, and this was from a like a patient example, through one of the certifications that I was going through, was they said to make the most of the health that you have. And what that means is to focus on the positives and what you can do. We might not all be able to be an Olympic level athlete, or be able to try out for the NFL, but what we can do is try to do more things on a daily basis so that we can keep up with our kids better. Or we might have some health conditions going on that could be limiting us. Like for me, I have really bad have a bad back, and it's something that's never going to go away. And I've had to adjust my, activity because of that. And I used to be a big runner. And so instead of, going, man, I wish I could run a lot more. I hate that I can't run. This back is really limiting me. I focus on what I can do today. Well, I can't go run the Gate River Run. I can't go run a marathon like I might, want to train to do, but I can walk. I can walk without pain. So that's what I'm going to do. And so every day, after I get off work, I go on a walk around the neighborhood with my kids while they ride their bike. So trying to keep that in your mindset and your perspective of focusing on the positives of what you can do, and that'll help you in your short-term success with your goals as well. All right. The next thing I want to say is enjoy your healthy lifestyle habits. That you don't want to keep doing, exercise and eating right. It's going to take hard work, but you also don't want to constantly keep doing things that you don't enjoy. So for exercise, for example, if you really don't like running, you don't have to run. Maybe you can ride a bike or go on a walk, or if you enjoy, using a machine at the gym for your cardio, make your, lifestyle habits enjoyable for you, because that's going to help you, in the long term with continuing to do this. And then we were talking about accountability earlier. So make sure you're getting support, whether that's having a workout partner that, you take walks with, or somebody that you're, just checking in with, once a week or whatever it might be, or your friends. It's important to have support so that there's people who know, what we're going through and what we're dealing with, so that they can encourage us. When you're thinking about goals, like if your goal is to, just weight loss, and I heard a lot of people talk about that. And one thing that, instead of just, thinking about like, what goal am I going to set for myself? One thing that we in the health world like to do is help people set SMART goals. I don't know if Luke has talked with you guys about that, or, yet or not, but it's specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. And, don't worry about remembering all that, but, it's making your goal more specific and personable. So instead of saying, like at the bottom there, a non-SMART goal sounds like, my goal is to lose 100 pounds. Like that's great. That's a wonderful goal to try to attain. But, is it something that is, specific for you? Is it really attainable? And what's kind of the timeline to do that? So instead, you could make a goal like, over the next 7 days, I will walk, 2 to 3 days for at least 20 minutes. That gives you a little bit more, specificity of what you need to do, and a little bit more, something that's more tangible of, like, oh, I can do that. This next week, I'm going to walk Monday, Wednesday, Friday for 20 minutes. And that can be very, very doable. And it's also, the more that you have success with these small goals, it kind of is a snowball effect. The more success you have with small goals, it kind of builds up and helps you continue to make those changes in your life and achieve your long goals. So that if your goal was to lose 100 pounds or 50 pounds, 20 pounds, whatever it might be, doing some of those small SMART goals first will help you get to that. All right. The next thing I wanted to talk about here is something that's more the public health world, but it's important for you all. And so I'm going to kind of I'm going to dive into it a little bit now, and then I'll explain it on the next slide. But social determinants of health, or SDOH, is something I didn't learn about until I started working in healthcare. But the definition from the CDC is that social determinants of health are non-medical factors that influence your health. They are the conditions in which you're born, grow, work, live, age, and a wider set of forces that shape the systems and conditions of your daily life. And just to go, if you look at the right side of the screen here, there's these different domains of social determinants of health. So there's education, access and quality, economic stability, social and community context, healthcare access and quality, and neighborhood and built environment. And so those are different, things that, health professionals, doctors, politicians even, will look at our society and down to the individual person as well. Of like, let's look at somebody's health from a wider perspective and seeing how all of those things are affecting their health. Because we've realized it's not just, I have to do A, B, and C and then I'll lose weight. It's not just, eat less and exercise anymore. Everything has changed to realize that there's so much more going on behind the scenes than we actually realize. So I apologize if this is a little hard to see here, but this is another graphic that kind of explains how these different external factors influence our health. And I have arrows on the right side of the screen there for kind of some of the highlights. So only 20% of our health status is attributed to the healthcare that we receive. The other 80% can be traced back to things that we do on a daily basis, our health behaviors, like you see there, the physical environment. So that's our neighborhood, the air quality, the water quality that we're drinking, things like that. And then socioeconomic factors, which is, how much education you've been able to get, your income, how much family, what your family and social life looks like. And I've got another arrow at the top there. They've even found out that 50% can even be traced to your zip code. We've been able to, there's research out there now where they can tell your health just by looking at what your zip code is, and they'll be able to predict that, which is crazy because of things like this. So, I wanted to show you this and help you understand all of these because, not everything that in your health journey is just, what you do on a daily basis. There are other factors at play that are not always your fault as well. And so when you're thinking about, your weight loss and just your health journey in general, something that you'll need to be more aware of is, things in your past and, your present of that could be leading to some of the health conditions that you have now, or, how difficult it is to lose weight, or, why you might eat certain ways, different things like that. But I wanted to just show you this because it's, not every day that things like this are talked about, and it's not usually until somebody who already knows about it in the healthcare world, tells you about it that you recognize that. So I wanted to give you a little bit more perspective here that there's a lot more at play than just your, health behaviors of what you're doing for your diet and exercise. So it's important to pay attention to those and kind of recognize what factors are influencing your life, so that you can know how to help take care of those. All right. So now you're probably asking, now what? So just like I was saying, just take some time to consider, what things could be influencing your health, either in the past or the present. And you might just want to, write that in a journal, or just, have another discussion with somebody else, or with Luke, or, on another call with thinking through each of those things and how those might be influencing your health. And also, starting to approach health and healthy living with a more holistic lens. And that's just meaning you're more aware and you're more, focused on all aspects of your health. So mental health, social health, emotional health, spiritual health, financial health, because all of those things ultimately influence your health and how you feel, how your body reacts over time to stress and different things like that. All right, I've got some references and resources here. Is basically just things that I've talked about, but it'll go more in depth there. And I'll make sure Luke has this so that in case any of you want it, can feel free to look at those. All right, so I know I'm close to time, so I'm going to go ahead and just open the floor for questions. And I know that was a lot of information, and it's a lot to try to take in a few minutes. So I'd be happy to answer questions as best I can. If we run out of time, Luke can send them my way, and I can try to answer them offline as well.
Well, thank you, Daniel. My wife texted me and said that I called you David earlier. I'm sorry about that.
All right, no worries.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. I mean, yeah, this is awesome stuff. Does anyone have any questions? I wrote down a few questions here, but I wanted to open it up for anybody else. And I officially upgraded my Zoom, so we have the time. We're not going to run out in 40 minutes, so we can speak. Yeah, right. We can speak for as long as we'd like. But I'd like to open the floor for any questions if anyone else has any before I ask my questions. Anybody have any questions?
Not questions that I can think of, but just I just wanted to say thank you, Daniel, because that was a lot of good information, particularly really thinking about those the social aspect and how all of those different factors come into play with health that I really had not thought about. But I really do want to trace back, because as you mentioned, thinking about how all of that affects your health style, your lifestyle choices and your health. Yeah, that's something I definitely want to. I actually thought a couple of things while you were singing it, but definitely something I want to think more about. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's awesome. Yeah, and one thing I didn't throw in there, but I was thinking about is just another example that you were, kind of what you said made me think of it again. Was there was a documentary that I had to watch for some of my classes where they looked at people in different, income levels and followed them and tried to understand their health better. And one of the things that they found is that continued, elevated stress levels or, chronic stress has a significant impact on your life. So there's, one thing to kind of think about is, not only your stress now, but stress that you went through earlier in your life as well, and how that kind of affects where you are today. And, there's all obviously things that you can do to work through that, but just being aware of some of those things kind of can help you move forward better.
Awesome. There's a question I wrote down was, how do you develop intrinsic motivation? Yeah, I mean, for some people, it just seems as if they can't motivate themselves internally. How do you develop that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good question. And some, most of the time you're probably going to have extrinsic, external motivation and internal motivation, but that's something that, like, when you have to kind of just sit down and really think about of why do I want to be healthier? Am I being healthier because, I'm trying to, I have pre-diabetes and I'm trying not to become diabetic, or, am I just trying to live a healthier lifestyle? Whatever it might be, having some of those, thoughts where it's things that you're trying to do and not just, somebody else is telling you to do something, like a doctor or, a family member that's telling you that, you need to be healthier, whatever it may be, something that is more internal and personal to you. Like, I want to be healthier for my kids. I want to be healthier because I don't want to develop, certain health conditions, or I just want to lose weight because I want to be in a healthier state. Things like that will start to internalize, as you work through your weight loss journey. It'll help you understand, kind of why you want to do things.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that we misunderstand sometimes about weight loss is, it does take a lot of thought. You have to really sit down and really think about the reasons behind what you're doing. And it's an internal journey as much as it is an external journey where you're looking different. It really is going into the recesses of your mind and really thinking through why am I eating the way I'm eating? How am I going to change this? Why do I want to change this? And that's where that lifestyle shift comes in, where yeah, a lot of people don't take the time to think through that, and they're just looking for the number on the scale to come down. They're just looking for the abs, and when they get it, they just feel empty because they haven't done that internal work before. So yeah, thank you for that. Any other question?
Not a question, but just a thought. What you said, I think maybe a good way to develop, perhaps maybe to try to develop that intrinsic would be to create I don't know if I create a list of like, almost like a list of pros and cons, or a list of um maybe what could or couldn't happen if I don't. You know what I mean? Just to kind of create a list, because I almost feel like sometimes it's nerve-wracking for me anyway, sometimes to delve deep into myself. That I get scared sometimes, but I feel like a list of what can happen if I don't, what can happen if I do. I feel like that's very practical, almost just like, just an end result, and then look at those and decide, okay, because some of them will be motivating, some of them will be intrinsic, some of them might lead you to intrinsic motivation versus external. You could say, my clothing size will change, and that would be great, and that could be something. Or it could be something like my cholesterol will go down. And so looking at those as well, if I know that my health numbers, that's going to something that's going to change, then that would be, and for me, an internal motivation, if that makes sense. So just a thought.
That's a really good point. And I completely agree with that. And having some of those, you might start off thinking, well, I want to, look better. I want to be able to fit in clothes that I used to fit in, or, whatever it might be. But as you think about it a little bit more, like you just said, it might turn into something like, well, I'm doing this actually because it's helping my cholesterol go down, or things like that. And what you had mentioned with making almost like a pros and cons list, actually something I used to do with people who were patients that I worked with in a hospital setting that were not sure if they wanted to make lifestyle changes or not. And this was more so with people who were smokers, and I was, trying to get them to a place where they were ready to quit and help them through that journey. But something that we would do is say, okay, well, let's look at, the pros or cons to, you think about it in one way or the other, like if I do quit or if I don't quit, what will happen? So if I do quit, I might feel this way, or I might start doing these things, or I might, really have cravings, for whatever it is. Or if, on the other side, if I don't quit, I might develop lung cancer, like my doctor says, things like that. So I think that's a really, really good method to use that you can work through as an exercise.
Anybody else? One more question before we close out.
Yeah, this is Eric. I had a question. I don't know if it's a question or a statement, but I was just wondering, how can you incorporate spirituality, like with your weight loss for motivation, like spiritual motivation incorporated with weight loss?
Yeah, I think I could take that one. I'll take that one. Yeah, the 3H lifestyle. The whole point behind the brand and the company is kind of came from my dad. He's a pastor also in Orlando. He always says, "I want to be holy, healthy, and happy." And so 3H lifestyle kind of birthed from that, where the understanding of what it means to be holy, where God calls you to be set apart for Him. That's not just in the spiritual realm, just like what Daniel said earlier, that health is financial, spiritual, emotional, a holistic view of health. And spiritual health comes in where you realize that Jesus says that your body is the temple of God. And just how you treat the church. I mean, we go to city church, we clean the church, we do certain things in the building. We don't bring in trash, we don't deface the building. And this is how God wants us to treat our bodies. It's not just a spiritual body, but it's a physical thing. It's a holistic way of looking at your body, that God gave us this life. He gave us this body, and I'm going to treat it as if he gave it to me to take care of, which means I may not eat the things that I truly, truly desire all the time, and I eat foods that fuel my body. I eat foods that heal my body. I treat my body in a way that proves that I believe that God has given me this body as a gift. And so, yeah, man, one of the reasons I believe a lot of people don't lose weight and is because they don't bring that spiritual aspect into it. They don't really bring in the fact that, hey, even when you pray before you eat, like, dear Lord, bless this food to my body, and you're praying over McDonald's. It's like, really? Like, yeah, maybe not. But when we pray over the foods we eat, when we think about how we're living our lives and how we treat our bodies, Paul says it in one of his letters. He says, don't you realize your body is not your own? And just that thought alone, like, whoa, this is not my body. Like, it belongs to God. And so how am I going to treat my body if I really think and embody that thought that this body belongs to God? I think that will change the way we think, change the way we eat, change the way we treat ourselves. Hopefully that answered the question. Hopefully it didn't get too deep spiritually. Anything you want to add to that, Daniel?
I think you said it very well.
Anybody else before we close out? All right, guys. Well, hey, Daniel, I don't believe this is going to be the last time we have you on, because you have a wealth of knowledge that I believe we would like to mine. Didn't know that you worked with patients in the hospital. I think you have so much information that we would love to hear. So hopefully this is not your last time. We'd love to have you back. Everybody, what I have here, I'm going to ask every one of us to create a SMART goal. I think that would be great for us to do. If you remember, SMART goal is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. And so instead of saying something like what Daniel said, I'm going to lose 100 pounds, that's great. One way to bring it down into a very specific way is this week, I'm going to walk or do some kind of exercise 3 times this week for about 20 minutes. And so I'd like you to craft your own SMART goal and send it to me by the end of this weekend, and we'll keep each other accountable through the following week. But other than that, guys, thank you for being here. God bless you. This is recorded, so you can go back and rewatch it again. And for those of you who are joining us after this, glad that you can be here. Thanks again. Daniel, thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time.
All right,
Thank you
guys.
so much. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wonderful
Thank
day,
you.
guys.
Thanks, Luke.